Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel. Sorry, Aaron, your mic says a crazy thing. Let me just mute you quickly, then we should be fine. Sorry. Let's just start this again, ladies and gentlemen. Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel. I was going to say, the first Champions League preview, but it isn't. You know, we're already at the third game, even though it feels like our season literally started the other day. Because obviously Tuchel got getting sacked, and then we had a month off with games getting postponed and this and that and left, right, and centre. But tomorrow is where probably the first real big game of the season. Obviously, we had Spurs. That's a big game in and of itself. But in terms of season goals and stuff, tomorrow is the first real, absolute must-win game. There's no two questions about it. We need to win tomorrow if we want to still qualify for the knockout stages of the Champions League. There's no two questions about it. And it's going to be difficult enough as it is. But there are plenty of things to talk about. There are plenty of things to get through. We have a wonderful little quiz again prepared by Bertram with a whole little slideshow. So we're going to have a great time doing that. But yeah, there's also a couple of bits of news that I want to discuss before we get into the actual game. And for all of those things, I am joined by two absolutely wonderful guests. Pies, let me start with you. Thank you for being here as always, as you were yesterday, to be fair. Now, yesterday we spent a lot of time talking about Christopher Nkunku. We were spending a lot of time talking about Josko Gvardiol. Now, of course, in a press conference today, the journalists tried about 7 times to ask Graham Potter about Christopher Nkunku, but he didn't want to say anything. But in general, has there been any sort of update? I feel like Fabrizio has said a few things, but everything has kind of been the same. It's basically just more once again and again and again, it's been reiterated. It's basically done, but it's not done. Except that January thing, which you tweeted. Was it this morning? I can't remember when it was. Where it was things could, not the Gvardiol January thing, the Nkunku January thing. So what's the latest on that, mate?
Pretty much, there's not too much new, but yeah, there was something this morning about 11:30. He posted a video. Fabrizio said that essentially the contracts will be signed officially in January 2023. So he said that's when the official here we go will be. So I don't expect anything else really to come out for Nkunku until January now. This is kind of it. Everything is agreed. Chelsea are happy. Leipzig are happy. And Nkunku's happy. And he said that Chelsea wanted to be fast this time. They want to go to the transfer market now with different mentality and not leave it to deadline day. He referenced Aubameyang, but we also did get Zakaria on deadline day. So, I guess it's good news, but now we have to wait. And I guess now is just kind of, I don't know, if you want your Nkunku fix, you're going to need to stop reading articles and watch some Leipzig games, I reckon. So, yeah.
There you go. On that note, though, watching games, big game tomorrow, right? Would you agree that this is the first real must-win game that we've had so far this season?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, no, this is must-win. We're at home. AC Milan have got injuries out. I'm still waiting to find out exactly how many injuries they've got. I think the press conference is at...
I read something like 15.
Yeah, it's like 7:20. Tonight is the press conference for their manager, so we'll get a full extent of their squad. But yeah, it's not looking good for those on the injury front. I think Theo Hernandez is out, which is a really good attacking left back. I think I definitely know Calabria's out. He was stretched off. They've also got
loads out. Obviously,
there's loads out.
Ibrahimovic is out. Florenzi is out.
The goalkeeper's the main one.
Out.
Yeah, the goalkeeper is the main one that they're missing. Is
Mendy, yeah, exactly.
He's been very, very good for them. So that's a big plus for us. I mean, we've got no excuses. We're in front of our home fans. You know, I want a Juventus-type performance at home tomorrow night. I want us to be on the front foot, straight from the off, not messing about, and just go and get those 3 points. Because as good as Milan are, they are beatable, and we are Chelsea, and we should win if we play well, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Aaron, let me get to you. I will actually also ask you about Nkunku after. But to start with, we need to do something about your mic. Are you either touching your mic or because there is mad background noise on the microphone?
I can try to stick some headphones in. Give me 2 minutes.
I'll give you 2 minutes. I'll stick with Pies for the time being. Pies, then, let me take it straight back to you. Obviously, so far in the Champions League, we've had a bit of a stinker. Lost away to Zagreb. I mean, we all remember that. Unfortunately, Thomas Tuchel's last game in charge of Chelsea. And then Graham Potter's first game in charge of Chelsea was against Salzburg, where we did the usual Chelsea, regardless of who the manager is. We get a goal, then don't take our chances, and then concede a goal, and then play 1-0, which we nearly, not in that order of goals, but essentially nearly did at Palace as well, if it wasn't for Conor Gallagher's screamer at the very end. But what do you think from this point onwards we still require to actually, go through? I mean, theoretically, I think if we still win the remaining 4 games, I think we could also still top the group because obviously we have 2 of those games against AC Milan who are top. So we could still top the group as well. But do you think home win against Milan, maybe an away draw, but win the other 2 should that do? Or what would you expect that we still need?
Well, when I was looking at the 2 AC Milan fixtures, I said a win and a draw and win the other 2. But I'm not actually sure. Like I know we've got 1 point, haven't we? But it also depends on, I guess, the other fixtures to see how they do. Like if the other 2 teams draw, whatever, that might help us a little bit. I'm not sure whether there's a situation where like we could lose one of these games and still win the others and then go through. I'm not too sure. I guess a lot of it is dependent on results. I need to have another
it
look at
depends on
the
who we
table.
lose against, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, a lot of it is sort of, depends on other things and other situations. But at the same time, like I think we all know if we don't win tomorrow night, like we're in big trouble because we've then got to practically go away to San Siro and win. And I'd rather get the job done tomorrow night. At least give us that will give us a confidence boost, So yeah, especially in the Champions League, it will.
Absolutely, and we need it. And I said this after the Palace game. Now, performance-wise, I wasn't sure whether that was enough to really give us much of a confidence boost. But getting a winner is always good, and we need to kick on from there because I mean, essentially, our season kind of started against Palace. Now, of course, it didn't, but with Tuchel getting sacked and then so many games postponed and everything, essentially the season started on the weekend, and we need to just make sure because we basically started the season 2 months late, essentially, right? So we need to catch up. So we need to get some momentum going because if we spend the rest of time from now until the start of the World Cup winning a game, then dropping points again, and winning a game, and then maybe drawing 2 or losing 1, we can't do that. Like we need to get a few wins on the bounce. Like we seriously need it for the confidence in the team and everything else as well. Aaron, once you have your headphones sorted, just like either put it in private chat or you've unmuted yourself.
Is that any better?
Yes, much better. Thank you. So Aaron, 2 things. Let me start with Milan. Must-win game, big game. You confident? You nervous? How do you feel ahead of the game?
Well, firstly, as always, thank you for having me, bro. Appreciate it. I'd say definitely nervous purely because like the performances that we've put in the first 2 Champions League games have put us in a situation where we can't really afford to drop any more points. So we don't really have that safety net. We have to win in order to maximize the chances of going through to the next round. So it does make me nervous because we're facing the best, well, other than the 2 that we've already placed out of the 3, the best team that we have to face in the group, and we've got them back to back. So especially with our home fixture, it's the time where we need to take advantage the most because the San Siro is definitely not an easy place to go to and try and take points. So in order to really do ourselves a favor, we need to win this game tomorrow. And with the way that we've been going, I think the Palace win is definitely going to boost up the confidence of the players. But it's a case of now can they push on from that win, build a little bit of confidence, and go in the right direction. So it's going to be very interesting. I think a lot of it is going to depend on sort of who they play because of, as you said, their injuries are quite heavy. I know they're missing Theo Hernandez, Magnon, quite a few of their sort of squad players, which means that they're not going to have as many options to sort of sway the game. I know they're missing Origi, Salamakers, quite a few of their options. So it's going to be interesting. I think our lineup is also going to have to be spot on. It's good that we're only missing really Kante out of the squad. So that gives us pretty much maximum options in order to see what we can do. So yeah, it's nervous, but I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Before we move on to actually talking about Milan in a little bit more depth, just quickly, because on the basis on the back of yesterday's stream, without expecting you to be an expert on Christopher Nkunku, what are your thoughts if we are to assume now that we are going to get him, unlike with Christoph Freund, as I touched on yesterday already? But would you be a fan of us getting that done, especially getting it done so early? And then once we actually go into the season, he just joins up on the first day of preseason and everything's sorted rather than a Kunde situation, Fofana situation, or striker situation, which then drags until the end of the window. So you excited about that? You hopeful for that? Or are you more a little bit concerned, really, another Bundesliga player, another Leipzig player? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, which side of that coin, I guess, do you sit on?
I normally like to go into these things with a very open mind and sort of optimistic head because no player is going to be the exact same as another. And sure it could turn out sort of how Werner did and how Havertz is sort of going along, but in the same way, it could go in the complete opposite direction. And that's a very much an unknown thing, which is quite exciting, especially when it comes to a player with his talents and knowing what he can do, seeing all the various positions he plays and sort of what kind of form he's been in. You don't just attract interest from some of the top clubs in Europe over nothing. So he's got to be doing something right. So it's going to be very interesting to see if that gets over the line, and then if it does, sort of how he's integrated into the squad and how he plays. But I think it's quite a good move. I think it's exciting that we're getting it done early. That shows real intent, that we're just trying to get it out of the way and then move on to the next. So I quite like that fact from Chelsea. But it's slightly nervous, but it's one of those things where you just have to allow your optimism to play out and just really keep an open mind of it. But I'm excited.
There you go. I probably would agree. I mean, you can only hope at the end of the day. Whether we hope or think someone's going to be great or think someone's going to be bad doesn't actually affect whether they are going to be good or bad. Like, how many of us thought Werner would be great? And then we were all so wrong. How many of us thought Lukaku would be great? And how many of us were so wrong? Do you know what I mean? And then, how many of us thought certain players wouldn't be great? And then look how they turn out. I don't know, Aspie as an example. Even like, I don't know, Mateo Kovacic, I guess. Did we think at the time that we would be that good of a player in the end? Who knows? But some bit of news that I want to talk about just quickly. I'm not going to waste too much time on it, but still. And Pies tweeted it earlier, and it came out from the Times, as you can see on screen. A leading British football agent is the subject of a police investigation after sending a threatening email to former Chelsea director Marina Granovskaia. Sources said she received the email whilst working on the sale of Chelsea. It is understood that the agent was arrested and released on bail. A solicitor acting for the agent said his client strenuously denies the allegation and has not been charged with any offence at this time. Now, Paisy also sent a screenshot of what was apparently actually said. Not going to get that one up now, but essentially, like someone made the joke in the chat already earlier. Where is it? I can only really agree with this. Like, really? Marina with our best mate Roman, they are the people you're gonna try to scam. I'm not sure. Like, number one, he's a twat. Number two, he's an idiot. Like, what do you think you are threatening? Does Marina Granovskaia seem like someone to be threatened? I don't think she would have made it as far as she did in her career if she was someone to be threatened, mate. But what a clown. Hope he gets arrested in the end. But Pies, anything you want to add on that?
Yeah, pretty much. Apparently it was a big money transfer. Didn't state whether it was an incoming or outgoing, but essentially Chelsea owes £300,000 to him and his clients, supposedly for their role in this supposed big money transfer. Leading British football agent, and that's all pretty much he said. And there, he basically was threatening her that, see you when I see you, sort of thing. If you don't pay it, I've done being nice to you. Yeah, the quotes are pretty creepy and scary, to be quite honest with you. Like, if I received that over email, I'd be like, yeah, holy shit, it's not good.
No, absolutely. I mean, like I say, if you're Marina Granovskaia and you've got Roman Abramovich on your side, you're probably a little less scared.
Yeah.
But, do you know what I mean? But yeah, no, it is most certainly dodgy. Who knows what it is about? Now, my gut instinct says Lukaku, because, of course, that would cause some more drama, that whole transfer. But who knows? Like, I have no idea. Let's get into talking about this game, though, because there isn't actually so much news, because we obviously did the whole stream yesterday about the other news. So let's take a moment and actually look at AC Milan a little bit. Now, I'm unfortunately not sponsored by FOTMob, but I wish I was. So FOTMob, if you see that, please sponsor me. But I think they have the most useful website to actually look at things, to get a bit of a broader overview about the team. Now, as you can see on screen now, if it is shared already, I hope it is. There you go. They currently sit 5th in this area. Obviously, only 8 games played, but they're not far off top. But they haven't quite had the astronomical start to the season that they did last year. Napoli up there, to be fair, with their Georgian absolute wonder kid. You can also see their recent form. Wins over Napoli, lost Empoli. Napoli and Empoli, like, boys, could you be a bit more creative and think of different names and not basically sound the same thing? Beat Empoli, lost to Napoli. Unlike us, they managed to beat Zagreb. Of course, it was at home. But, like ourselves, they drew against Salzburg. In their case, of course, in Salzburg. So, and then when you scroll down in terms of best players, well, it shouts Rafael Leao everywhere, because top-rated player joined with Olivier Giroud, the top goal scorer, and Rafael Leao also has the most assists. Is he the one you're worried about the most, Aaron? Rafael Leao?
He's definitely going to be one of the biggest threats, especially when they don't have Zlatan. And I think having that kind of outlet coming from out wide when you have someone like Giroud playing more down the middle, he's very dangerous. I think he seems like he's quite fast and sort of direct. And my only saving grace is that he's playing up against Reece James, who hopefully can pocket him. But he's definitely a very dangerous player, one of their best for sure. So it's gonna be an interesting battle down that side to kind of see what joy he has. But knowing Reece James, how he kind of gets into the minds of like people like Wilfried Zaha, like very fast technical wingers, and locks them up, as he said. I think we should be all right.
I think we should be all right. My only worry is if Rafael Leao moves away and is covered by anyone that's not Reece James. And that's when I'm a little bit more concerned about it. But we'll get to formation, who plays or should play for Chelsea tomorrow in a little bit. As I touched on, as you can also see on screen, the other joint top scorer with Rafael Leao is, of course, Olivier Giroud. And he's not the only former Chelsea player at Milan. There's also Fikayo Tomori, who even said in an interview, like, it's basically extra motivation to show how he's developed, to show almost to some extent, I guess, what we've missed out on by not playing him, even though that, of course, was on Lampard. Still don't understand why we sanctioned that move less than a week before we actually sacked Lampard. It's like that Billy Gilmour situation all over again. Just that is Tomori at a high level? Certainly played more Premier League football at the time than Billy Gilmour has done by now. Although Billy played a fair few games for Norwich. So let's say Premier League games for Chelsea then. But, Pice, are you worried that these two are going to come to haunt us?
I'm more worried about Giroud, to be honest with you. I do kind of have confidence in Reece James, especially if he plays at his highest level, which I do expect in such a big game. But yeah, I'm definitely worried about both. And they've got other players as well. I think Benacer there is a very good player from midfield. They've got I think, is it De Catalere or something? The young lad from Belgium. He's very good. Very, very good talent. I think that's his name. Tonali, I'm not sure if he's fit, but Tonali's another good player. They've got quite a lot of good players. Brahim Diaz there, he used to play for Man City. He's a tidy little technical attacking mid. So they've got some very nice players, and it's not going to be just one or two players that we need to be focused on. We need to be focused on a lot of them and have just really a good all-round team performance, I think. And I think if we take the game to them, like if we boss the game, if we boss possession, that will limit their chances anyway. So, yeah, look, we all know what Giroud can do. I love Giroud. Looking forward to seeing him back at the Bridge tomorrow night. I just hope he doesn't score. And Leao, if he does play bad, I don't want to see Chelsea fans say, "Oh, I don't want him now," because the best case scenario for us is that Reece James pockets him, but he does do something that doesn't lead to a goal or assist, I guess, but still kind of plays okay, because that's the best of both worlds, I guess, for our pursuit of him.
Absolutely, and that I am a little bit concerned about Giroud. I can't lie, that he will come and haunt us a little bit, just because the way we concede goals, especially set pieces, just Giroud doing these outrageous one-touch things. Those are the things that worry me, and especially defensively, we've not been good. We haven't kept a clean sheet all flipping season. It's a little bit concerning. I can't lie. It's a little bit concerning. It's weird for me. I know obviously home games should give you an advantage, but I'm probably almost more confident that we're going to win at the San Siro than I am that we're going to win at Stamford Bridge, weirdly, because Milan are going to be defensive. That's what most teams do against us. They're Italian. Of course they're going to be defensive. Even if Giroud maybe doesn't quite help them in being a counter-attacking team. But still, Stamford Bridge is the small pitch. Stamford Bridge is where we always struggle. And I know this season the away form hasn't been great, but I think that had different reasons rather than the actual situation in our team with our tactics. Now, of course, we haven't seen enough of Graham Potter yet to really have a full grasp of everything. But still, I'm not sure. I'm a little bit worried about Giroud. I'm a little bit worried that Tomori is going to have an absolute blinder and just not going to let anything or anyone past him. But you touched on it there. Can I go to injuries here somehow? I don't know. Squad? Does it tell me the injuries here? Nope. Well, I mean, there is a little injury sign here on all of them. But as you can see, plenty. Simon Kjaer, Alessandro Florenzi. Not sure how he ended up at AC Milan. Was at Roma for 10 years. Goes to PSG. Doesn't play there at all. Goes to Milan. How do you end up at a better club than before? Anyway, Calabria
Lawrence,
gone.
just a quick one, Lawrence. If you want to check the injuries, I had a look earlier. The best place is probably Transfermarkt.
It is probably, but until I've got that open, I might as well look at it here. But I do hear you. Like Pi said, Calabria, of course, got stretched off the other day. Theo Hernandez, probably the biggest miss. Now, obviously, you can always debate about Zlatan Ibrahimovic, but Zlatan is basically always injured these days. So, not exactly a big shock. Now, they seemingly don't have so many players injured in midfield, unless this is obviously not correct. I swear Tonali played on the weekend, Pi. So what made you think that he might be out?
I can't remember who it was. I'm pretty sure I saw someone say that he might be a doubt. Maybe waffling, but I seem to have it in my head, so I've probably seen it somewhere, and it's just stuck in me. Not sure.
Absolutely might be. And as you can see, a few of their forwards are out as well. Selemakers, Messias, how are you called Junior Messias? How's that even allowed? But anyway, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, of course, and arguably first and foremost, alongside Theo Hernandez, his French teammate, Mike Maignan. So, Pies, how much of an effect do you think that will have on them missing these players? Is that something that will make a big difference, or should we not focus too much on thinking, Milan are drastically worse than they usually are?
I was talking in a group chat last night, and someone who I speak to knows a very good AC Milan fan, one of his mates, actually Italian, and he said that he is a little bit worried for tomorrow night, but he still thinks they'll give us a good game. Now, what does give us a good game entail? It doesn't really entail much. They'll definitely be weaker, but I'm not expecting a battering just because they haven't got their main keeper and stuff. Like, they've still got good players. I'll just be interested to see, I know they've got Tomori, but who else will be in their defence? Because if there's no Theo Hernandez, not sure who their second centre back is. It Kalulu, or does he play right back? Not sure.
Kalulu is their second centre back. Yeah, let's get the lineup of the last game up.
So I mean, if I'm just looking at, I may just be a massive casual here, but if I'm looking at their back line, I'm, just the names, and again, I might be waffling, might be a casual. For me, I think we can get at that. But again, I'm not too sure, to be honest with you, how good it is. Obviously, Calabria there is literally.
Apparently, the last game was Kier, to be fair.
Right,
seemingly he's now also injured.
Well, all I remember from that guy is I think he's really, really slow. So if we can pop some balls in behind, get Tomori out of the way.
He's now apparently injured, Gary. So
right. So yeah, I mean, look,
probably going to be Kalulu instead, who is apparently quite quick. At least FIFA tells you at least some sort of truth.
Yes, I think they'll probably go with it'll probably be Tomori and Kalulu as centre backs, Ballo Torre as a left back, but with their both right backs being out, I don't know who they'll play there.
Yeah,
who knows, mate?
Definitely areas that we can attack. I mean, isn't there right wing there? He's injured now as well, isn't he? So
yeah. So there you go. Sadly, that was a crazy game, by the way, as well. Like, if I go up here, look at what Milan took the lead in the 79th minute. In the 92nd, Empoli equalised. Then in 93rd and 97th, Milan made this 3-1. Mental. But Aaron, anyone you're particularly worried about outside of Rafael Leao and Olivier Giroud? And do you think those injuries drastically worsen them? I mean, I'm not even going to try to pronounce their reserve goalie's name, if I'm honest. So I reckon the goalie and the left back are probably going to be the biggest, influences on their team, and not having any right backers can't help either, can it?
I think I don't know, I think the keeper's name's Tata Rashanu or some shit like that. But no, I think I think the only thing that gives me slight concerns is their midfield, because when they have Benassa and Tonali, they're both quite good midfielders. But other than that, with the way their squad's kind of weakened, especially when you look at in terms of a depth thing as well, where they don't have Salamakers, Messias, Origi, they're sort of quite limited as to it's whatever they put out on the pitch and maybe one or two off the bench. But other than that, there's not much for them to use at their disposal. So I'm not too worried myself, but it's just a case of forgetting about what they do and more a case of how we deal with it. Because I know that we've made Zagreb, well, we didn't make them look good, but Zagreb came and went there and they got the 3 points. Salzburg came to us and got a point. So I think more so I'm not even thinking about the opposition as much. I'm thinking more about us. But there's not particularly that many threats in the Milan team that are fit right now. So it doesn't fill me with too much fear, but you never know with these things.
No, you do never know. I mean, we were talking about right backs. Probably going to play Jorginho Dest then, I assume. Or which one was the other right back that you said is out? Obviously, Florenzi and Calabria,
they have Florenzi and Calabria, yeah. But I completely forgot Dest went there on loan, so that'll probably be
exactly. So it's probably going to be him, but we'll see about that one. I mean, Clutch might have a field day or a stinker, because if you remember, ladies and gentlemen, Clutch always said, no, let's not buy Dest, he's shit. And look at our old friend, Timur Bakayoko. Well, he won't play, but let's see if we can have any fun with him. We will have to wait and see. So let's get this one off the screen, and let's do something I quite enjoy. Aaron, I'm not sure how many times you've been involved in these, but you most certainly haven't been involved in these since we've got whole slideshows for it. So
I only did one, and it was the one that Pice cheated in when it was Chelsea Everton.
Bro, I don't cheat. What are you on about?
Bro, you cheated. That was the first one you cheated on it.
Nah.
Fraudulence.
I love it. Bertram did tell me he didn't know your Twitter handle, Aaron, so that's why he didn't add it. So he does apologize, basically. But big shout out to Bertram. Won it twice. If you want to follow him, does he actually spell his tag with 2 N's? Surely not. I think he misspelled his own Twitter handle. But anyways, let's get into the first question. I read the first question. I don't know the answer, but I read the question. And I had to laugh at the wording of the question again. So let's have a little bit of fun. Ladies and gentlemen, get involved in the chat with your answers. And let's get through this. Italy are known for the vast array of mouth-watering cuisine, stretching from pasta to pizza, tiramisu to gelato, and espresso to cappuccinos.
Man's making me hungry, man.
Exactly, man. Exactly. Which of the following Chelsea players ate up the only goal we've ever scored against Milan in a competitive game? Now, if you've ever been to a Chelsea game, you will know this because, well, there's a literal song about it. But I'm sure all three of us know. Knowing Aaron has been to as many games as I know he has, I'm sure he knows as well. But ladies and gentlemen, get involved in the chat if you do know the answer. But it's weird that we've only played them in one competitive game ever, isn't it? That's what I find the most surprising thing about that. But there you go. A lot of people are getting it in the chat. I assume I'm going to go with you first, Aaron. What do you reckon? Who was it?
I believe it is Dennis Wise.
There you go. He's got a effing great goal, didn't he? Pice, Wise, yeah?
Yep.
Absolutely.
100%.
I mean, I'll go to the next slide. There we are. He made it 1-1 in the 77th minute. So, cheers, Dennis, former Chelsea captain, for people that didn't know that. But yeah, question number 2. Similarly to Spain, Italy has a strong tradition of the siesta, a period during the middle of the day where citizens will often take a short nap or rest. Which of the following players had the time to take a said nap as they didn't feature in the aforementioned game? Now, flipping hell, this is just a pure guess. I have no idea. Okay, so who didn't feature in the one time we played against AC Milan? I haven't seen this question before either. So, Robbie Di Matteo, Gus Poyet, Graham Rousseau, or is it Didier Deschamps? I think so. Didier Deschamps. I assume you're all just guessing as much as I will. Pice, what's your guess? The game was, by the way, in the 1999-2000 season.
Deschamps played for Chelsea.
Yep.
What the fuck? I didn't even know that. Fair enough.
There you go.
Yeah. I don't know. This weren't my era. I don't bloody know.
Take a wild guess, bro. Take a wild guess.
I'm going to go with Deschamps just because I think the other three, well, definitely the top 2, played a lot for Chelsea. Graham Rousseau was quite a prominent feature from what I can remember. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Deschamps because 1, I didn't even know he played for Chelsea. 2, I have no idea what position he played. So I'm going with it.
Pretty sure he was centre-back.
Right. Well, we had like Desai and all that, so I don't reckon he played.
Could be. I could be wrong because wasn't Leboeuf also a centre-back, and wouldn't they have played at the same time? So maybe Deschamps wasn't a centre-back. If anyone knows what position Deschamps actually played, put it in the chat.
Wasn't Deschamps in the midfield?
Maybe he was, bro. I'm not 100% sure.
I remember, did Petit play for us, or was that Arsenal?
Petit played for us and Arsenal, but he was shit at Chelsea.
He played for both, right? Yeah. See, I remember him, but I don't remember Deschamps at all.
There you go. There you go. Hey, it's a weird one. But Aaron, Pice went for Deschamps. Who are you going to go for? Who's your guess? I assume you're going to guess as much as
I mean, this game was before I was even born, so I haven't got a clue. But I just want to be different, so I'll go with Lasso.
I'm gonna, I don't know, just because the fact that Bertram asked this question and we played an Italian team, I'm gonna guess the Italian, so I'm gonna guess Di Matteo didn't play for whatever reason. So let's take a look. Graham Lasso, that's what it was. All the others seem to play. There you go. Leboeuf played, Desailly played, and Deschamps said the number 7. The more you know, eh? The more you know. Still a nice position, but here we are. Did anyone say in the chat?
So he played for
DM.
So he played for Chelsea, but he doesn't take care of N'Golo Kante. This guy is just, he is not Chelsea.
No, he's an absolute clown. I dislike him a lot. remember when was it? I think when we got Sarri, we were also linked with, or maybe after Sarri and when we got Lampard, we were linked with the Deschamps for a little bit, and I was like, please, for the love of all that's mighty, let's not get him. Like, please. Like, if you have a squad like France do, and all you do in every serious game is park the bus and then let Kylian Mbappe counter, I don't know what anything to do with you. Do you know what I mean? Like, go away. Even if I won in the World Cup, I don't want none of that. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, we did that, you know, none of that. None of that. All right. Let's see. It's not uncommon for Italians, to live at home well into their 20s and stay within the familiar environment. This is not something that counts for the ex-Chelsea players who've taken the 595.73 mile trip from London to Milan. How many ex-Chelsea players do AC Milan have? Now, unless there's, well, we kind of ruined that for ourselves by looking at the squad earlier. But Aaron, I'm going to let you go first. How many is it?
See, this question is very misleading because ex-Chelsea players suggest 2, but on a technicality, Bakayoko is still on loan from Chelsea. So does he count as an ex-player? Because if he counts as an ex-player, it's 3. If he doesn't, then it's 2.
It's got to be 2, surely, because he's still technically
because he's still on Chelsea's book, so it technically should be 2.
Okay. So there might be a little bit of a grey area here. Let's see what Bertrand went with, because, well, obviously I agree, but it's just a question of how did he interpret the term ex-Chelsea player? Because obviously Bakayoko's loan is until his contract at Chelsea expires, so he definitely won't ever come back. So let's see. He said 3. So, you know,
he's a fraud. He's a fraud.
Nah, come on,
He's a fraud.
Come on.
you may start making a little bit of a stinker with your wording, yeah.
The thing is, though, I technically do agree because we're never going to see him again, but at the same time, he's still legally under Chelsea's, like...
On the technicality, he's still a Chelsea player, so it's not an ex-Chelsea player.
On the technicality, I think just 2 and 3 are correct. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, basically.
We're not getting scammed out of that point.
Look at him go here. My guy did like different color word after every second word. My guy. All right, next question. Milan is known as one of the fashion capitals of the world, and that has naturally transpired to the spirits of one of the city's football teams. And then all of a sudden, a blue comma. All right. Which of the following companies have never been an AC Milan shirt sponsor? Fly Emirates, Bwin, Opel, and Mazda. By the way, just for you English people, Opel in England, well, I can't think of it now. What's the weird car brand? Vauxhall. Opel is a German car brand, which for some reason only in the UK is called Vauxhall. It's the same brand, but they have a different logo and a different name only in the UK. So just so you know, Opel is basically Vauxhall. But yeah, so I'm pretty sure I know this answer, you know. So I'm going to let Pice go first. I assume you don't know, but maybe you do know. So do you want to take a wild guess, or what's your thinking? Like, do you remember any of them that they had them or have them now?
Now, I think I remember Fly Emirates because of Thiago Silva in an old Milan kit that I saw the other day. Bwin is Spanish, I think, and was Real Madrid used to have it, I'm pretty sure. The other 2...
I'm not sure where they're from, but Madrid definitely had
Opel and Mazda. I mean, I know what Mazda is. It's a car, but I have no idea on Opel.
Like I said, just Vauxhall, also a car.
Complete stabbing it. I'd imagine it's 3 or 4. I don't know. I'll go with Mazda because that just sounds like a crappy, I don't know, Mazda for AC Milan. Nah, I don't reckon they've had Mazda. I'm going Mazda.
Fair. Sorry, Bertrand, by the way, for the slander, but you can justify yourself why you went for 3 ex-players, even though Bakayoko is officially still kind of a Chelsea player. But Aaron, what are you going to go for? Opel, Mazda, B-Win, Fly Emirates?
See, I definitely remember Emirates being the more recent. I don't know why I could picture Ronaldinho at AC Milan having Buin on his shirt. And I'm pretty sure some of the retro ones had Opel on them. So I think it's Mazda as well.
I completely agree. And that's exactly my thinking as well. And don't they still have Fly Emirates to this day? I don't know who the actual sponsor is right now. But I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. I remember their most like recent kits having Fly Emirates.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like maybe Fly Emirates is still that current one. B-Win, like you said, especially the one the Ronaldinho Kaká days. I remember exactly like
definitely.
Yourself. And Opel was even longer ago. I remember like some old Maldini pictures and stuff where they had Opel
like back in the day, retro ones. Yeah,
exactly. So yeah, I will agree. Probably Mazda. So let's see if we're right. It is Mazda. And see, there you are. Fly Emirates currently. B-Win back in the day with Kaká here. And Opel, he picked Filippo Inzaghi rather than Maldini, like I suggested. See, I for the rest of my life, I'll probably get the faces of what's his first name, whatever Nesta's first name is, Nesta and Inzaghi. I'll always get their faces Alessandro Nesta. There you go. I will always get their faces mixed up. To me, they look so similar, and I know they don't actually look similar, but to me, they look so similar, which always triggers me. But anyway, let's move on. Next question. All right. Okay, bro. How am I going to pronounce that now? You should have told me, send me like a voice or something. How am I going to pronounce this Danish thing here? All right. In Denmark, we have a saying, Ude got hjemme bets, which roughly translates to out is good, but best at home. Okay. We hope the Milanese won't have such a good experience tomorrow night, but they are quite decent against English sides. Which two English sides have the Rossoneri never beaten? So we have to pick two of these seven answers here now. Right. Liverpool, Spurs, I love the star, by the way, Everton, Leeds, Man United, Chelsea, and Portsmouth. Now, I will give you both a little bit of a hint now. I know that when we played them, we drew 1-1. I'm pretty sure that that's how it finished after Dennis Wise scored the equalizer. So, considering we only played them that one time and we didn't lose that time, they can't beat us, can they? Now, did Portsmouth ever make it to like Champions Leagues and Europa Leagues and that? I don't know. So
right, again, though, this question, like, they could have played Portsmouth in some pre-season friendly and battered them. Like, what I
assume it's only competitive games that count, though.
Oh, I don't know with Bertram. I don't know. I don't know with him. I'll go Chelsea and Portsmouth, but if he's counting like friendlies or something, or some like 1857 cup game, like you know what I mean, like
no,
they could have played them.
Gotta be difficult. Did you say two answers now or just one? Sorry.
Chelsea and Portsmouth.
Okay. Chelsea and Portsmouth. I must say Chelsea and Leeds. Why not? I must say Leeds. Aaron, what are you going to guess?
I'm going to go Everton and Portsmouth just because they seem the most like far-fetched when you think about the kind of other teams there and sort of European pedigree that they have. They're more likely to have played them and have more chance to have won a game.
That is true. That is true. All right, let's see then. Portsmouth and Spurs. So they did beat Chelsea. Sorry. I swear I Googled
They've never beaten Everton.
Okay. Apparently not. I swear I Googled this. AC Milan, Chelsea. 1999. So how did that finish?
AC Milan beat Chelsea in 1965-66.
Oh, come on. Oh, come on.
But I
That's
swear
when my mum was born.
Bertram, we've got to have words, bro. I swear you told us earlier that we only played
Bertram's on fraud watch.
Bro, that's when my mum was born. You think I know that? Like, come on. Jesus.
No, see, but because I knew that 99 game, which we were talking about earlier, finished 1-1. And as far as I knew, that was the only time we played them. I assumed, well, they can't have beaten us. He says he might have had a stinker here. But, you know, we'll let you off. We'll have a bit of fun. But apparently, they haven't beaten Portsmouth or Spurs, which makes me suddenly a lot less of a fan of AC Milan. How can you not beat Spurs? Come on now, everyone beats them.
No, I'm going through the record, and it's right. And they have beaten everyone other than those two teams.
Oh, no, he's definitely right with that. But before saying we've only played AC Milan once, basically.
Yeah, he's had a stinker there. We played them plenty of times. Played them twice in 65-66. Played them in 99-2000 season as well.
Yeah, the 1990,000 is what we were talking about. Yeah, exactly. Now we get to the next question, which is wonderfully, even maybe a little bit difficult to read, but wonderfully highlighted in the Italian colours. Looks like we're reading it from the Colosseum's walls. Italy is a country built on their pride of tradition. Chelsea as well have a tradition of playing against Italian clubs in the Champions League, stretching back to the game against Napoli in 2012. Have we not played against an Italian team since then?
Juventus.
No, of course we have. He literally names it there. Name the goal scorers from the following games against Italian clubs. All right, so we have to name all of the goal scorers from these games. Bloody hell. All right. Chelsea, Juve. Let's start with that one. You touched on it earlier, Pice. We scored 4 goals.
All right.
Who scored?
Hudson-Odoi.
It was the Cobham boys. It was Hudson-Odoi, James,
Reece
Chalobah,
James,
and
Chalobah,
Werner?
and yeah, it was Werner. He scored a tap in, didn't he? To the edge cross.
Yeah.
So you're saying Hudson-Odoi, James,
Chalobah, Werner.
Not Tammy, Chalobah,
Chalobah, Werner.
There you go. I would.
Werner.
So that's
I would
the first
agree.
one.
Chelsea versus Roma. Now I know the game finished 3-3.
David Luiz for Chelsea. The other one was
Hazard scored as well for sure.
I think he scored 2. I think Hazard scored 2.
I'm thinking that too. I
Yeah,
reckon
Hazard
scored
2, Luiz. For Roma, it was Dzeko. Who's that fucking guy who scored on the back post?
I don't think we
Sharawi.
have to name their goal scorers, but might as well. Give it.
All right, I
El
know
Sharawi.
Dzeko
scored 2 as well, couldn't that be?
No, I feel like one of their defenders scored from a corner.
For Roma, I
was
think it was
3-3,
El
so-
Sharawi got a brace in their home game, and it was Diego Perotti as well.
No, this is
That's
our
the home game though, because in that we didn't.
Oh, in
score
our
in the home
game,
did we?
home game.
Chelsea Roma.
But Aaron, look who's cheating now. My guy's looking up the scores.
I'm not. I swear to God, I'm not. I remember these games because they're all over TikTok. All of them. You get all the replays.
It's all good. It's all good.
I'm not biased. I don't
Okay,
cheat.
so but only focusing on the Chelsea players, we all in agreement. David Luiz and Hazard twice. Okay.
Yeah.
Juventus 12-13. Aaron, I'm gonna let you start it. Do you have any clue?
Juve 12-13.
I assume he means
That was the season. That was the
season.
season when we crashed out and went to Europa, didn't we?
Yeah.
Was that not the? Wasn't that the Oscar brace
Oscar
where he
goal,
spun
wasn't
Perlo?
Yeah.
That was the Oscar brace, I think.
If we're only talking the home game, I think it's Oscar twice because I think he scored.
Yeah, he had a
both
brace, I
and
remember.
2-0. And I think it finished 2-0. There you go. Pice then, the last one. We should all get this one, I reckon. Chelsea,
Yeah.
Napoli. Probably the best atmosphere Stamford Bridge has ever seen. So I'm told. I wasn't there, was I? But
I was.
Wrong. It was actually the Barca game that season was the best I've ever been to, and I went to Napoli.
Really?
Yep.
But against Barca, it was only 1-0. Do you know what I mean? Like the eruption.
Mate, I'll
4-1
tell you,
pretty much
when Drogba scored that cutback from Ramirez,
Yeah.
not only did I fall down a row, like I've never seen that type of madness ever. Like it was insane, bro.
I was at both of
level.
those as well, so I can tell you it was nuts.
It was different level. That was fucking
Craziness.
crazy. All right, I think I've got the Napoli. I think Drogba, Ivanovic, Terry, and wasn't it? We scored 4. I don't know the 4th one or one
Can
of
I
the
have
other
it in
ones.
here?
Was it Lampard?
Yeah, go on, Aaron. Go on.
Yes, it was Lampard.
It was Lampard, wasn't
Yeah,
it? He
it
scored
It was a
Enzo
Lampard
Fernandez.
penalty.
Yeah, it was. He smacked it. He always used to go down the middle, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. It went down the middle, didn't he? Isn't that weird how we all remember even which direction Lampard put the penalty?
Bro,
Yeah.
but he always. And the thing is, it's so clever because keepers always dive. Like, when do you ever see a keeper stay down the middle now? Like he used to
Mendy when
do it
Aguero
over-
tries to Panenka in.
True. Yeah.
Sorry, where did Mata score?
Mata.
What?
That must have been Napoli, if anything.
Oh, he's had another
No,
stinker
but
here.
that was Napoli away though. Okay, so if
He's
you
had another
stinker.
included the away games, it's a different situation.
Yeah.
Well, against Roma away, we didn't score. Against Juve away, we lost 1-0, didn't we? So we didn't score.
It was Napoli, 100%.
Yeah, no,
But
I know. But I'm
away,
just
yeah,
thinking
away.
who scored in the other away games, because I have no. Do any of you remember how that game finished when we got knocked out the Champions League against Juve away? I have no idea.
No,
I
I
don't
don't.
remember the home game. But here we are. Well, Mata definitely scored in the away game when we lost 3-1 clearly away at Napoli. And still big shout out to Ashley Cole. A lot of people always forget that goal line clearance in Napoli, which is basically the main reason we won the Champions League. So big up Ashley Cole. Love you. But yeah, as you can see, hope you enjoyed it. Good night and up to Chelsea. Thank you, Bertram. We appreciate it as always. We had a good time. And now 3-0 is how we lost that game. Bloody hell, if that's true. Or are you talking about the Roma one? Because I was at the Roma one. We lost 3-0 in Rome. I was there. That was not fun. But anyway,
Funniest
let's get this
defending
off
ever.
the screen. Sorry?
Funniest defending ever for one of those goals. You remember Rudiger, I think Louise, they all ran the same way and he passed it across.
Mate.
Oh,
It was
Jesus.
just like, what the flip are we doing? I was at that day, by the way, was the first and only time I ever tried to film a vlog. So I was vlogging my train trip from
Oh
where I
my
live to
God.
Rome. I was having like all cinematic shots and everything. And then I'm sat there in the stadium trying to film, being ready to record. We go 1-0 down, like, flip's sake.
The best
You
ever
really
You
vlog.
picked your moments well.
Yeah,
Just-
exactly. As soon as it's 2-0, I'm like, nah, I'm not having this.
Just off topic, but if you ever want to watch a vlog, watch DT's Baku one. He is absolutely brilliant. It's fucking brilliant. Yeah, he watches like he goes round, right. He's round the pool, right, and he's like, "God, Arsenal, please don't let me down tonight." And then like 3 minutes later, it's Hazard scoring the fourth goal. He's just sitting in the stands crying. It's hilarious. Best vlog ever. Please watch that.
That is funny to you. Even I watch that, and I'm not usually one to watch those, but yeah, that is quite funny. All right, though, let's focus on Chelsea actually playing against AC Milan because we've waffled a lot of time about other things. So, just to quickly go through in terms of injury news and which Chelsea players are actually available. N'Golo Kante is more and more in training, but not yet available. Just to clear it up. Mendy and Cucurella seem to be back. Like Mendy is definitely back. Graham Potter confirmed that today. On Cucurella, well, he didn't mention him as not being fit, but he didn't mention him as being fit. Now, we can, I guess, assume that means he must be fit, and we know he's been in training. But like we discussed yesterday already, Pies, I'm a little bit confused still. How can you be in hospital on Sunday and play on Wednesday? I don't understand. But if he's fit, great. Fantastic news. So I guess we'll assume he's fit. And then on a negative side of things, I suppose, Jorginho and N'Golo Kante seem to have... not N'Golo Kante. Jorginho and Kai Havertz seem to have small knocks and are doubts, but they both did train today. So Graham Potter said we basically have to see how they react to training. But who was it? Was it Clutch? I think it was Clutch, who definitely was very certain that Jorginho came off injured. And I was like, are you sure? I thought it was just a knock and he could have played on if he had to. But seemingly, that knock did force him off the pitch. So there we are. But the difficult part is now deciding which formation we should be playing tomorrow, especially now if we actually do have Cucurella available again. Aaron, I'll ask you first. Would you go for a back three or would you go for a back four tomorrow?
See, I was dreading you asking me first because I genuinely don't have a clue. I think considering Koulibaly did the press with Graham Potter, it's kind of a certain that he's going to play, but it's a case of then, do we have Thiago Silva and Fofana joining him, or is it a case of what he's gone with the last couple of games where it's just one or the other? So I'm not 100% sure, but something tells me maybe a 4 based off of what we played in the last game as well. But I wouldn't be able to say definitively, but I'm going to go with a 4 just because I think based off of what he's already done.
Fair dues, fair dues. So don't focus too much on that. It's currently a 4-3-3. I just put something on screen for the time being before we decide. Pice, back 3 or back 4? What do you reckon?
Oh, it's really interesting on this. I'm not actually. Again, I'm like Aaron here. I'm not too sure. I was thinking of a back 3, but then I think if Cucurella starts, like I'd imagine he would start left centre back, which then would mean Sterling in that role again, like the Salzburg game. But then I was thinking, well, if Koulibaly starts, then is he going to be in the middle? Or because I don't think he'll be on the right. So if he's in the middle, then that means Silva doesn't play. And I feel like
Silva will definitely play tomorrow.
Silva will play. So I'm gonna go with a back 4, I think. Yeah, back 4. Not, but again, like if Jorginho isn't playing, like who the hell was going to play as a number 6? Like,
see, I don't think it's going to be a 4-3-3. I think it's going to be a 4-2-2 again. It's just a question of how do we do that if Kai doesn't play? Because who is the second striker if there's no Havertz? Because you're not going to play Broja and Aubameyang up top because they're both real strikers. None of them is going to be like a half 10. Do you know what I mean? So who's it going to be? I guess Sterling. But we'll
Ruben.
get to that because I actually agree with Pice didn't quite say it out loud, but I think I understood his logic. I'm also going to go back for the reason that if Cucurella plays and we play a back three, I don't think Koulibaly plays at all. And I think Koulibaly does play. And I think also, in my personal opinion, would be silly not to play him because, I mean, he literally knows them, right? So surely he will find it a little bit easier. Yeah, you can also say their attackers also know him, but Koulibaly has been very good in Serie A. So it's not like they often got the better of him. So if anything, it should help that way around. So, and because I think Koulibaly will play, what I think is just that Fofana doesn't play. So I think it's going to be Thiago Silva and Koulibaly centre back 2 and Cucurella left back. That's what I reckon. Aaron, would you potentially agree with that, or do you think Fofana stays in and maybe Koulibaly doesn't play?
No, I think Koulibaly definitely plays. You know, like when they say, "Oh, normally whoever does the press conference with the manager tends to have a big role to play in the game." I feel like because Koulibaly's done that, and the fact he hasn't started or featured in the last 2 games, he's probably going to play this. But my only thing is, I don't know whether he throws Cucurella straight in, having only just come back from his throat infection or whatever it is he had. So
yeah, apparently tonsillitis,
yeah. So I don't know whether he just throws him back in straight away, because with the whole left back role, it's a case of Ben Chilwell doesn't really play left back. He's more of a wing back. So if you're going to play the flat back forward, then you kind of have no choice but to put Cucurella in. So this is kind of making me doubt even the whole formation thing now. But I'd say it's probably going to be Koulibaly with Silva, and then it will have Reece James and Cucurella either side.
See, I reckon so as well. The only thing that I'm a little bit concerned about is just, well, Rafael Leao and Olivier Giroud with us playing a back 4. Now, that's the part that concerns me a little bit. But what was the headline that we started the stream with? What's on the title? This is a must-win game. We're not here to not lose and, make sure we don't concede too much. We're here to win the game. And so I think we need to go for this one. Now, let me actually take this back off the screen for a little second, because before we actually finish our opinions on the centre-backs, we need to have a little chat about the goalies, because Edouard Mendy is back from injury. I did do a little Twitter poll earlier, which only has so many votes, let's be honest, because Pice retweeted it. So thanks, Pice. But as you can see, nearly 4,000 votes. So this is a little bit of a reasonable grasp of how the Chelsea fan base feels ahead of the game. As I tweeted, as you can read, Edouard Mendy is back from injury. Seeing how well Kepa has played in his absence and remembering Mendy's rather poor form before his injury, who would you start in goal moving forward? Now, of course, moving forward is more in general. We're talking about tomorrow. Now, for tomorrow, I'm 100% sure it's going to be Kepa. From the weekend on, it's maybe a little bit of a debate, because by then Mendy will have been in training for long enough. But I'll go with you first, Aaron. Now, I only put the rotate them option in there. I personally think that's silly. Don't ever rotate goalkeepers. No one should be doing that. Maybe like League, Champions League, maybe that way you can rotate them. But like in general, 1-1-1, no, don't do that. But I was like, maybe other people don't think like me, so I will give them the option. And it turns out it nearly got as many votes as Edouard Mendy. So what about you then, Aaron? Would you stick with Kepa at least while he keeps playing well? Or is there a point where you're just like, no, put Mendy back in?
I think when you look at it on the face of things, the way that Mendy's been playing recently, he hasn't been in good form. And then he's been injured, Kepa's come in, and Kepa hasn't done anything in which you can say, oh, he's made any sort of fault. And we're always saying you play players based off of merit. Where Mendy hasn't been in good form, Kepa's come in and he hasn't done anything wrong. It feels like it's just wrong to then suddenly drop him again and put Mendy back in just because he's back fit. I think you still keep with Kepa because he's playing based off merit. If it gets to a point where Kepa then starts to have a dip in form or he's not playing as well, then that gives you a reason to bring Mendy in. But I think even if it was the other way around, if Kepa was playing, got injured, and then Mendy came in, I think it'd be a case of Mendy keeps the place as soon as Kepa comes out anyway. So I think it should be the same role applied in the reverse. I think Kepa should definitely keep his place.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think that's how it should go, quite frankly. Especially with Mendy like not accepting contracts here. I'm like, bro, start playing well. Then we talk about you not accepting contracts, all right? But yeah, for me, Kepa has to stay in goal until he starts not playing well. Hopefully that never happens. But until then, I think, like you said, it should be Kepa in goal rather than Mendy. Now, of course, the whole merit thing for goalkeepers is always a bit difficult because you're not going to sub someone on, right? Like, say, say with Christian Pulisic, even if he doesn't start games regularly, he will get substitute appearances. And if he does well in them, he can kind of on merit win himself a starting spot. The second choice goalkeeper, not in terms of full on number 2, but at the moment, doesn't really get that chance until he's actually played. So the whole merit thing is always a bit difficult, I guess, with goalies. But yeah, I would, as the majority of people in this poll, stick with Kepa in goal for the time being, at least. Pice, would you agree as well? I'm pretty sure you will, but how would you explain it?
Well, I'd explain it as I'm not a huge fan of either of them, to be honest with you, at the moment. I was of Mendy, but Kepa, I thought the goal against Salzburg, it was really poor. I thought Mendy would have got that with his long arms, but is what it is, isn't it?
I know you said that. I still disagree to this day, even though I saw a few
He
people on
got
Twitter
down
also
so
talk about
slow.
it.
It was like he was in slow motion almost. Like he just didn't anticipate it almost. I don't know, just a weird one.
But you
But
can't anticipate a deflection, can you?
well, no, but you can anticipate that he's going to shoot across the ground. And I don't think he did that. So,
But then can you not also attribute some of that to a bit of ring rust because he hasn't played in as long as it's been?
well, then that's more of a factor to probably choose Mendy if I was you, Aaron. Then, if you think that's a
No.
factor.
I'm just saying in
Well,
terms
by
of
now,
that
Mendy
specific
will. By
Salzburg
now,
game.
Mendy will be the one with ring rust, right? So
Yeah, that specific Salzburg game when you're saying he got down a bit slow, you could attribute that to a bit of ring rust because he hadn't played in so long. But now that he's got a few games under his belt again, he's starting to shake off that rust and start to get back into
Well,
his
he's only
proper
played
ways
one
now.
more, hasn't he? He's only played one more.
But it's still like that first game when you come in after a while. It's probably a little bit. You're probably going to be a little bit shaky because you haven't played in a while. But he's had that full game. He's then had the game on the weekend as well to sort of get himself back to the way he needs to be.
Well, I hope so, but at the end of the day, Kepa is Kepa, and I just feel like people will, be back to square one with him again, even with one mistake. But look, he did play all right at the weekend, made a few good saves, but yeah, I would stick with Kepa. I do also think Graham Potter will prefer him. I had this debate on Twitter yesterday, and I got sent this thread by actually. I think I was debating with Mediano, and I said, "Look, Graham Potter, if he's the one who's got control, I think Kepa will be his number one. Just I feel like he suits his style of play more, playing up from the back." And he was, yeah. And then someone was like, "Oh, educate yourself, Pice. Look at these. Look at this thread. It actually showed apparently that I didn't even look at it, but that Edouard Mendy is a better distributor than Kepa. So yeah, and a lot of people replied that, oh, he's actually not a better distributor than Mendy. But I was like, well." Every time I watch Mendy, I literally shit myself when he's on the ball, but I don't when Kepa's on the ball. So how can you explain that? Like, you know what I mean? I'm not just going and got an agenda, have I? So how can you explain that? How does my feeling come to that? That's what I was trying to explain to them. But yeah, I would say.
I think that's quite well. I say quite simply explained. It's maybe wrong, but there's just the stats of Mendy come off, including Mendy when he was at the absolute top of the world, when he was in absolute full confidence. And he should have won Goalkeeper of the Year, won the Yashin Trophy. Like at the time, yeah, his distribution was maybe not worse than Kepa's. But we're comparing Mendy at his very, very peak in terms of confidence levels, something that Kepa probably hasn't even experienced since leaving Athletic Bilbao, that level of confidence, right? So, of course, when you're super confident, you're going to be better with the ball at your feet, because ball at your feet as a goalkeeper is 95% a confidence thing rather than an ability thing. Because they're all professional footballers, they're not all going to be shit. Like, if they have a good day, they can all play a 50-yard pass. They can all play a 20-yard pass. Do you know what I mean? But I think I completely agree with you, Pice. I think on their base ability, Kepa also, when not being very high in confidence, is much better with the ball at his feet. And distribution and being good with the ball at your feet, in my opinion, are two different things. Because, for example, that goal he conceded against Leeds, Mendy, that won't show up in any distribution stat because Mendy was dispossessed before he ever tried to distribute the ball. So how can that be in a distribution stat if you lose the ball before you distribute it? Think about it, right? And also, the next thing comes into it. Think of the passes that Kepa picks and think of the passes that Mendy picks. Mendy passes it to the centre-back on every single occasion he knows. Or he tries to play it longer to the wing-back. Sometimes they come off, sometimes they don't. But he keeps it simple much more often than Kepa does. Kepa will try a much more outlandish pass for a goalkeeper on a more regular basis. When I say that, that doesn't mean he does it 10 times a game. No, but he does it more regularly than Mendy does. So people throw stats around, and I like a stat, but stats need to have context. You can't just throw a stat around. It's like, oh, he's better. Well, yeah, because he tries less difficult things, and because the majority of these stats were accumulated while he was super high confidence. While now he's the opposite. So you can't compare Mendy when he was super high confidence to Mendy right now. If you compare those two, your stats will look even between those two very different, leaving Kepa aside completely. So, yeah. Do you see what I mean, Pice? Do you agree with what I said?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And again, like, I didn't look at the thread. I don't know what sort of, I don't know if it included Mendy's past seasons, but yeah, like, I have my point of view, and I do agree with you. The fact that Mendy doesn't really attempt the long passes, he always tries to save pass. Whereas, I mean, I replied, like, at the weekend, Kepa played that pass. Was it to Sterling or something when he came off his line? And I was like, wow, I haven't seen Mendy make a pass like that in months. So, yeah, I mean, I was getting.
Maybe you don't remember,
cooked,
but I think Kepa's first season, which must have been Sarri's season, right? I will always remember there was a long ball by the opposition. Kepa came out for it, and on the half volley, smashed it back into the run of, at the time, probably Morata, and we nearly scored from it. Have you ever, other than Manuel Neuer, seen any goalkeeper in the whole world attempt a half volley, kicking straight back an overhit long pass? You have never seen anyone alive. I've never seen anyone like Kepa do that. I'm like, what? And people say Mendy. I'm like, sorry, nah. And also, people are comparing Kepa, who was on average in much worse confidence and form levels. They probably, I mean, like you say, you didn't read the thread about their stats, and I didn't read the thread either. But well, you can't exactly compare them with this season because Kepa played about 2 games and Mendy played 5. So if you're comparing stats of that little games, then you need to get in the bin anyway, because you can't compare stats from that little amount of games because they're not representative of anything. But in the bigger scheme of things, of course, Kepa towards the end, especially in Lampard's reign, of course his distribution got worse because he was shit at everything and everyone was kicking on him and hitting on him. Do you know what I mean? Like, of course it wasn't going to be great. But here you go. Aaron, just your thoughts on this apparent idea that Mendy's supposedly better at Kepa than Kepa with distribution. Do you agree with that, or what do you think about that?
No, I think it's bollocks, but you've literally, both of you just echoed what I would have said anyway. I think the most important thing as well is quantifying, like, in terms of in a game, how much the ball goes back to the keeper and the keeper then plays it out, because I feel like Mendy, when I watch games, it feels like Mendy gets the ball a lot more from the defenders and plays those simple passes, whereas Kepa doesn't get the ball back as much from the defense. They always try and play out of tight spaces. Well, sometimes they'll actually use Mendy in that. So when you think about like the quantity of passes and distribution that they actually deal with as well, and the fact that Mendy goes so simple, kind of elevates those stats a lot more. It's very misleading. Like the eye test that we have when we watch the game sort of is enough to tell you, hence why Pius feels the way that he feels. And I completely agree, because we see it more often than not when they both play, we can tell.
Absolutely. I do agree as well. And Tuchel Ban, now you did change your profile pic, so I'm not sure you made it much better, but I guess, that's... but sure. I appreciate you changed it regardless, even if you maybe didn't change it.
Who is that of? Who is that of?
Jeffrey Dahmer.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ.
I didn't even see that. Isn't it a photoshopped head onto a woman's body?
I think it's the guy that plays Jeffrey Dahmer in the Netflix series.
Isn't he the serial killer? I'm pretty sure, bro. Like,
yep.
Oh my God.
He might well be.
Yeah, it is.
Jesus.
There you go. He says, well, Potter is going to lay the pipe on Milan. Facts. Well, hopefully he lays the pipe in the right direction. We don't lose 4-0. But yeah, I hope so, mate. I absolutely hope so. That will be fantastic. They will postpone it too. Will they ever tell us the Man United kickoff time? The Premier League own embarrassment. Well, hopefully they won't postpone that one. That would be a bit silly, wouldn't it? But okay, we have cleared up. Kepa will be in goal tomorrow, in our opinion. We've also kind of cleared up the back 4. Now, even though Koulibaly usually plays in the left, Thiago Silva also usually plays in the left. So, Pikes, do you have a preference in which way around? If it's these two as the 2 centre backs, they should play in terms of which position?
I'd probably say Koulibaly on the right, to be fair. But I mean, there's probably not much in it, to be fair. But I don't know. I know he didn't play Fofana in the Fana didn't play against Salzburg, did he?
No,
That's
he
some
didn't.
mistake. No, he didn't. So, I mean, the problem I have with dropping for Fana is like, why then are you spending 70 million on a defender if you don't play him in your biggest games? So, yeah,
I do agree with that. It's just the case that I'm not sure if Potter will play any of these real centre backs as a left centre back. Maybe he only wants a back three if one of them is basically a fullback. And if he's then it can't be all three of them. Do you know what I mean? But obviously, I could be wrong on that. We just haven't seen it yet, so I'm going to assume he doesn't want to do that.
I mean, for the first sort of couple of months, I reckon these lineups are going to be very hard to predict, just because we don't really know what his sort of footballing. I mean, we know his ideas, but like in terms of the current squad, not really.
Yeah.
So, I did find it quite interesting though, and I think some people glossed over this. Maybe I was just reading too much into it, but he said about Koulibaly, he knows his position that he has to wait to play. Now, I was like, well, why? I read that and I was like, why? Does that mean he's the rotational centre back? He has to wait. He knows his position is he has to wait to play, and I was like, what? Like that's just. I thought that was a strange quote, but
I mean, I didn't read the quote. I only watched it, and I can't remember him saying it exactly like that. To me, it sounded just like, "Oh yeah, I haven't picked him yet. He will get game time. It will be fine." Type thing. That's what it sounded like to me.
Yeah, I mean, Absolute Chelsea posted it, and I was like, that's almost like, well, you know, he's already been told his position in the squad kind of thing. Like, so I don't know. Interesting.
Well, at the same time, if we're interested in Gvardiol, then it's going to be the older one that gets dropped before the younger ones, I assume. So maybe, but who knows? Aaron, though, in terms of positioning of the two centre backs, do you have a preference who plays on which side, or does it not really matter?
Not really, but as long as it's those two, because I think that's what he's going to play, whichever side it is, doesn't really matter. I assume maybe Koulibaly on the right, if I'm not mistaken. When they played a back four at Napoli, he was on the right side. So
I wasn't a left, actually.
Oh, yeah, well, then I would switch it over.
And see, that's exactly why I would actually do the other way around,
just
because Koulibaly is the guy that hasn't played.
And when we play the back three, he's on the left side as well.
Exactly. So I'm like, just because he hasn't played, now I trust him to be good on either side, but because he hasn't played, and because he hasn't played, maybe it's a little bit less full of confidence. I'm like, okay, put him in the position where he's maybe a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more used to it. That's why I would go this way around. But essentially, I would say it doesn't really matter. What we already agreed on as well was the two fullbacks, Cucurella, if he actually can start. Now, if Cucurella can't start, I actually think we're going to play a back three rather than play a back four with Chile. I think we're going to play a back three and then have no Chile, personally. But who knows? For the time being, we assume that Cucurella can and will start. But now we need to actually get to a final decision in terms of formation. We decided back four, but what are we going to do ahead of that? Especially, like Pies touched on, if Jorginho can't start. And we know Kante can't start yet, or can't be involved yet. So we basically have Kovacic and someone. But now the question is, because we have so many others that suit the 8, do we play like this? And then just force either Kovacic or Ruben to play the 6? If Jorginho can't start, but personally, I assume Jorginho will start anyway, if I'm honest. But let's just, for interest, for just making it more entertaining, let's assume he can't play, even though I assume he will. Aaron, I'll go with you again. What would you do in terms of formation? Would you play a midfield 2 and then maybe this 4-2-2 type thing and have 2 strikers and 2 wide players? Or would you stick to a midfield 3, and how would you fill it then?
I think it's difficult because if we don't have that sort of midfielder who's primarily a bit more defensive, a bit more holding sort of thing, then I feel like the best way to probably compensate for that is to then have another body in the midfield, so like a midfield 3. But it's just a case of then who that player 6 becomes, and it's knowing the sort of personnel that we have available. If it's not Jorginho, then it's most likely going to be somebody like Ruben. But again, I sort of don't know whether it'll go 4-2-2, just gung ho, try and go for it, and just play 2 8s in a sort of double pivot within the 2 in front of them and another 2. But I reckon it will be the 3 purely because of the fact that having that extra body in the midfield will then help going up and down. But yeah, it's another difficult one as well.
Yeah, Because on the one hand, I see what you're saying in terms of the midfield in general, but in terms of the defensive area of midfield, if you play a midfield 3, you kind of only have 1, while if you play a double pivot, then you kind of have 2 in the defensive areas, I guess. So I'm not really sure what will be better. Now, what I'll say now, this is not necessarily what I will pick, but what I assume, if Jorginho is not fit, I think it's going to be what we saw for the last half an hour against Palace. I think it's going to be Kovacic and Ruben as a double pivot, where they're going to interchange. Sometimes the one stays and the other one goes, and sometimes the other one stays and the other one goes. That's what I think it will be if Jorginho doesn't start. But I'm not sure if that's what I would pick. Pice, what would you pick? Formation before we get to actual players.
Sorry, just before that, you made the point about Koulibaly knowing AC Milan and the Serie A. Does that give any merit for Denis Zakaria to finally get some minutes and actually play, maybe start a game, based off of the fact that he was at Juve for 6 months or whatever it was, so he knows somewhat.
Because he was there for 6 months and played.
He hardly played. Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't know. I'm not sure if we'll ever see Zakaria play minutes. If I'm honest with you, the guy didn't even make the squad.
He's just another Saul.
Yeah, my God. If he's still here by the time we play cup games in January, then he will play. But we might have sent him back by then. Who knows? But Pice, formation-wise, what are you going to go for?
I don't really know too much because, I don't know too much about AC Milan. I know they're an attacking side, but I don't imagine they will also come to Stamford Bridge and just, try and roll us over. They're going to try and defend as well. So, I want to go 4-3-3, but at the same time, I want to also have a pivot and almost have like a 10. So, yeah, probably
this is what we played in the second half against Palace. We basically played a 4-2-3-1 second half.
Yeah, I'd rather go with that, to be fair. I think have someone sit deep. Now, the question is, I don't know who that's going to be. Now, part of my mind feel like he's going to throw us like a complete shock and put Chalobah in there because he used him in the behind closed doors friendly. But I don't think he's going to... I feel like it'd be pretty... Is naive the word? To, not use someone familiar kind of thing. I also saw Chukwuemeka's Twitter post. He said God's timing is perfect. I thought, well, maybe he's been told he might be playing. But again, these are young guys. I just feel like what you said, more likely Ruben and Kova alternating. So I will go with Ruben and Kova. But yeah, I don't know because I don't know what how much Graham Potter does trust the young guys in big games like this. I'm going to go with Ruben and Kova, but I just wouldn't be surprised if he throws a shock out there. Puts Chalobah or God help us, but maybe even Reece in midfield and put Aspi right back.
No, you can't do Reece in midfield when they have Leao at left wing. You have to
No chance.
I hope not, bro, but you never know. You just have to
imagine Aspi against Rafael Leao. We might as well pack him before we turn up, man.
Yeah. I don't know. You have to be prepared for everything in football.
You do. You absolutely do, mate. If tomorrow at 7 p.m. UK, I see that Aspi's playing right back, I'm just gonna,
If I see that happen, I'm selling my ticket outside Stamford Bridge and going back home. I'm not putting myself through 90 minutes of that.
Come on, Graham. Don't turn Aaron into a tout. No one likes ticket touts, so don't do it. But yeah, because I will agree, Aaron, I will ask you in terms of players in a second as well. But because I agree with Pice, I'm going to put that down because it's to be regardless of what you say. But who would you pick? Now, again, like with the positions, like with the personnel, also information, I would probably pick this. Just because of what and who we have available is why I'd probably pick this. But if it were to be this formation with kind of a 4-2-3-1, like we played second half against Palace, even though now I say that the second half against Palace was absolute dog water. So maybe we shouldn't do anywhere near what we did then. Maybe. But maybe we fill it with different personnel and it gets better that way. Who knows? But if it is this formation, would you also go Kova and Ruben, or would you throw someone else in there in the double pivot?
Yeah, if it's this formation, I can see him using both of them. But I do. Some part of me does want to see a really rogue shout just to spice it up a little bit. I would like to see something I'll speak it into existence. I want to see Zakaria finally get some minutes. I just want to rogue shout him into one of those spots. But I think it will be that.
I hear you. All right, let's get to, I guess the front four. Let's call it that because, I guess there's a debate on nearly all of those positions. I
don't think there's a debate on player 9. I think that's pretty nailed on.
Everywhere.
No, I said player 9. Player 9 is definitely nailed on. The rest of them maybe a debate.
Well, yeah, to some extent, I do agree. I mean, basically, Sterling will play somewhere. Just the question is, if Havertz is not available, who obviously played here in the second half against Palace, who is that going to be? Is it going to be Pulisic? And if it's Pulisic, won't Sterling play on the right and Pulisic on the left? That's why I'm saying maybe Sterling will be over here rather than over there. But you know what? I'll just stick with you, Aaron. How would you feel those front four?
If Havertz isn't available, then I can see what you're saying. But even if Havertz isn't available, I can also see him maybe keeping Sterling on the left, putting Mount in the player 10, and then maybe even putting someone like Ziyech out on player 8. So it's between Ziyech and Pulisic if Havertz isn't fit, but I'd prefer the Pulisic shout. So if Havertz isn't fit, then I think it would be Sterling on the right, Pulisic on the left, and Mount in the 10. But if Havertz is fit, then I think it will be Sterling on the left, Havertz in the player 10, and then Mount towards the right side.
Mount can't play. Mount needs to be benched. That guy can't be anywhere near our team.
When you don't, if Havertz isn't available, then we don't really have much of the choice.
We can play Pulisic in the 10 like he does for US. Fucking play Broja on the right, bro. Why is Broja not a shout? He can just run lines, bro.
But if you're gonna play one of them out wide, surely you'd prefer Aubameyang out wide and Broja down the front.
Not on the right, no. I think
Sterling on the right and then Aubameyang off the left with Broja down the middle.
Yeah.
I don't really know. I mean, no one has mentioned a guy that scored the winner from a 10 roll.
Nope. Stop right there. No. We're not having this conversation. This is not happening.
No, sorry.
Now we're not. Mind you, we're not talking about like when Thomas Tuchel used him, and we were talking about Gallagher.
No, he's not.
No.
Much higher.
Not today.
Come on.
Not
yet.
All right. I was just throwing it out there. I mean, Graham Potter was asked about it. He didn't seem to completely rule it out, but who knows? I mean, Pice, you're very adamant that Mount shouldn't play. So you would put Pulisic here and then Ziyech over there, or Broja, or what would you do?
Yeah, Pulisic in the 10. Broja out wide, probably Aubameyang up top. I don't know how it would work, but I just don't want Mount starting. Now I'm looking at this, I don't think we're going to play this formation at all whatsoever.
If you're unsure, can I make a suggestion? Can I quickly make a suggestion then if you're saying this? Because even if we do stick to this, you could have Sterling on the right with Pulisic in the 10, Aubameyang on the left, and Broja up top. So then it could be like this, or it could end up floating into a 4-2-2-2 with Pulisic and Sterling either side, and then Aubameyang or Broja coming into the front two instead.
Yeah,
so it could even be that.
I mean, Aubameyang was drifting off the left a few times, but
interchanging between this and a 4-2-2.
When you put Sterling on the right, for me, it removes his goal threat, and I think we need his goal threat. So that's the problem with me.
I just think there's, as much as I would love it, I want Broja to actually play. But Aubameyang did score the last game, so I think it would be harsh to play Broja instead of Aubameyang in just this one. And I see no way in hell he's going to, the first start on the Potter for Broja will be at right wing against AC Milan. I just really don't see that happening. I know we're picking our team here, but I think we have to remain somewhat realistic. So I think we need to think of something different to this.
Could we see maybe Sterling on the right, Aubameyang on the left, Broja up top, and then Ziyech in that player 10? And then if it goes into something like a 4-2-2, Sterling will come to that left side, Ziyech will come to the right, have a front two, and then Ziyech can cross the ball into Broja. Because
there's no way. Ziyech hasn't even come on yet, I don't think. There's no way he's going to play his start. No way. Zero chance.
I would see if we had Thomas Tuchel in charge, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Ziyech started this, because Serie A, Europe, a little bit more time, a little bit more space. That's when Ziyech can really show his talent, and Ziyech has a lot of talent at certain things that he does. The problem is just in the Prem so far, he's not really been able to show that often because he doesn't quite have enough time on the ball to do what he does best. Maybe he would have that against Milan. Who knows? But I think what you come to find, Pice, Mount will have to start.
Yeah, you know what? I think it's going to be, if we played this, I feel like it'd be Sterling, Mount in the 10, Pulisic or Sterling off the right, kind of interchanging, and then yeah, Aubameyang up top. I think the only one who could possibly start is probably Pulisic because he made an impact off the bench. Don't think Broja will start. Don't think Ziyech will start.
Well, Gallagher's most certainly made an impact off the bench, but
yeah, but I just think he's not a winger, is he? And I feel like Mount will play. If we play this, Mount will play as the 10 because then he can drop back.
I'm not saying this will happen, but what I think could happen is Gallagher play the 10 and Mount play wide.
I mean, that my eyes would just bleed trying to find a free ball or something. So
mine would bleed too, but I'm just saying maybe it could happen.
But do we then think we're having a lot of selection problems based on the formation we've picked?
Sorry, say that again.
Do we then think we're having a lot of problems here trying to come up with a team based off of the formation that we've picked? Do we think maybe changing the formation into something a little bit different then makes it still be easier?
Potentially.
Not
I mean,
really.
you said we don't think we're going to play this formation. So what would be your other formation called?
3-4-3 with Sterling as the sort of Trossard role, maybe. Then maybe have like a front two or something.
But who's the front two if Havertz isn't there?
I'd go Broja and Aubameyang, I think.
Two real strikers because
I think put it on
two real strikers against Salzburg, was it? Because Kai.
No, I think put it on him. I think that'd be because Broja attracts so many players. I think Aubameyang could find the spaces inside the box. So I don't know how any of that would work.
I don't think Broja and Aubameyang can play together because they're basically the same type of player. Just Broja much stronger. But it could do the same thing.
I think Broja likes running at players, where I feel like Aubameyang likes sort of getting in the box and being more of a pure striker than Broja. I feel like Broja likes, chasing after people.
That is true. That is true. But I mean, in terms of they both like to make runs rather than receive the ball with the back to goal. And one of them, if you play two strikers, needs to receive the ball with the back to goal. And if neither one like that, how's it going to work?
Well, Aubameyang did a lot of that the weekend, by the way.
I don't actually think having the two strikers is a bad shout, though.
Other than his goal.
If you think about AC Milan's team and the vulnerabilities they have with the amount of injuries they have right now, I don't think having Aubameyang and Broja is actually a bad shout, because if you have that 3-4-3 formation that Pius was talking about, where you have Cucurella left centre back, Koulibaly right, and Silva in the middle, then you have Kovacic and Loftus-Cheek right in front. You could then have Aubameyang and Broja as the two strikers with maybe like Mount in behind, and then that sort of Broja can go off to one side, Aubameyang can go off to the other.
Okay,
Mount knows how to play the passes. Sterling and James pushing.
3-5, whatever.
Sort of like a 3-5-2.
Yeah. But you're talking with 2 6s, 1 ahead, because against Salzburg we played 1-6-2-8 in that.
Yeah, as in like when I say 3-5-2, I'm talking like, you know how like in the 3-4-3 you'll have one like slightly sitting and one slightly a bit more forward. It could be like Loftus-Cheek drops back a little bit. Kovacic is like still in there, not too forward, not too far back. But then you've got Mount, the one that's further forward. You've got Aubameyang and Broja either side, and then you've got Sterling and James pushing up from the sides as well.
Could be. So who loses out then? Is it
no one? Pulisic loses out for Broja.
Or do you then change Cucurella out for Fofana?
No. Pulisic comes out for Broja, and then it just lines up as a 3-5-2.
No, I understand, but that's what I was asking. Do you drop Cucurella then, or do you keep him? Because
keep Cucurella.
I feel like if we allow Giroud to a 5'8" centre back to hug at the far post, and then Leao to spam crosses from the left to Giroud in every duels against Cucurella, good night. That's why I'm a little bit concerned about this Cucurella centre back situation.
Then if in a 3-5-2, if that's the issue, then it is Cucurella comes out for Fofana, but it just purely depends on kind of how you go about that, whether it's Koulibaly.
Should we just say we have no fucking clue about tomorrow's team?
I think we figured that bit out already.
We just have no idea. There you go. There's the answer.
We have no
Chat
idea. I'm going to line it up like this. Why not? Just to like take a look at it. All right. Then Sterling's here. Let's put him a little higher. Let's have Aubameyang and Broja up here. And I guess you could play it exactly like this. You could also do like last game, Ruben was more advanced than Kova in the second half. So that's why I'm not so sure if Potter agrees with Tuchel that Ruben is the one that sits. That's why I'm not so sure about.
Potter clearly has more sense than Tuchel then.
Which is true, but you just said Ruben sit more than Kova. So
this is just my brain going back into Tuchel mode.
Tomorrow is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's my brain going into Tuchel mode. That's my own fault.
Yeah, I mean,
Wouldn't you
it
want
could
the
well
more
be this.
physical
It could
player
well be
deeper,
this.
though?
You
But
could
then the
also,
only
I
reason
don't
I
know,
say
put
that as
like
well is if you line up with a back three and you've got Sterling as like sort of like the not as conventional wing back, you'd want the slightly bigger, more physical person a little bit deeper in front of that back three.
Yeah, that's what I just said. I don't want Cover as a lone six. I mean,
Yeah,
he can
that's
tackle,
my
but
only thought process.
he's not the best at tracking runs. I'm not saying Ruben is, but at least he's got a physical profile in there, you know?
I mean that
Yeah.
what you got on screen right now also works as well, but I do want to try and shoot on Broja in here somehow.
Yeah, but this is also like we said, we have a must-win game here. I don't want to be playing this. We might as well have not sacked Tuchel if that's what we're going to do, just because we would have done this already if we had to. Do you know what I mean? Like, no point changing the manager for that. So yeah,
Cucurella up front, I like that.
yeah, there you go.
If that was just Marcus
yeah.
Alonso, would have been golden.
I think what's certain is he'll probably line up with something that could very easily change in game. That's what I think he will do.
For sure.
I don't know what, but he will definitely be doing that at least.
I mean, like I said, I personally expect Jorginho to start anyway because it's Jorginho. I wonder if you ever heard of Jorginho missing a game with injury.
That's true, but then the only reason we've done a lineup like this is because somebody here said, "Oh, let's just imagine that Jorginho."
No, I know. I'm very
game."
aware. I'm very aware. I'm just saying now that we couldn't really find an agreement on anything without him. Now, I guess that fixes that problem.
We've gone through all of this just to go back to Jorginho.
I don't know. Sorry?
I said we've gone through all of that just to go back to Jorginho.
Exactly. And might as well put Havertz up top as well.
Yeah, okay.
There you go. All of this for nothing. But no, ladies and gentlemen, essentially what you can tell, it's just impossible to tell. 4-3-3 to 4-2-2 with flexible players. Bobby says Naku is just laughing. Hopefully a jinx mound, and now he's amazing tomorrow. I hope that too, Josh. This is probably the first line of prediction being baffling. You found this baffling. What would you should be happy. Oh no, now we dropped Pulisic. See, but until a minute ago we had Pulisic in, so you should be happy, Pies. Not Pies, RD, sorry. Broja top, Sterling left, Aubameyang right.
Why is he laughing at me? Why is he laughing at me? Have I said something?
I think just you said something funny rather than taking a piss.
All right, I probably said like we don't have a fucking clue.
Yeah, probably that one. Yeah, exactly. Now I'm not sure about T-Spot. This Aubameyang on the right. See, I think you need to get that out of your head very, very quickly. Aubameyang has two positions. It's up top and on the left. But certainly not on the right. So I'm not quite sure about that one. But I mean, if Havertz is fit, obviously changes things drastically anyway. Whether that's whichever formation that is, maybe that allows us to drop Mount. Maybe that plays Havertz as one of the front two. Who the flip knows? What's Mount's actual position, mate? And number 8 is his actual position, in my opinion. But yeah, the whole Mount thing, we won't open that kind of worms now because we've been here for too long as it is. One thing we do need to talk about, Kante Chukwuemeka will start tomorrow. You heard it here first. Well, if you're right, that's going to be interesting. If you're wrong, unlucky. But the last thing we need after we've realized we don't know who's going to play is a score prediction. Like I said, must win game. Usually I always force my guests to like turn up with things first. So I'm going to go first on this one. As usual, we will not keep a clean sheet because we can't. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to go boring. I'm going to just have to say 2-1 because it's just the most likely result if we concede, and I still want us to win. Do I see us scoring 3? It just depends on when goals go in. Do you know what I mean? If it's 2-1 and Milan really don't want to lose and they open up and we maybe score one on the counter, it could be 3-1. But if it stays 1-1 for long enough, we might get a late 2-1 again. So I'm going to say 2-1, but tough one for me to predict. Pice, what prediction would you go for?
See, I really want to go like 4-0 or something, just run it back to Juve and hope they turn up. But after watching the weekend, I'm going to go with... Sorry, but I'm going to go with 1-1.
Well, we hope you're wrong.
I hope I'm wrong.
I'm sure you hope you're wrong. Yeah, exactly. So there you go. Aaron, 1-1 and 2-1 so far. What are you going to go for?
I like to be an optimist. Remember when the draw happened, I said we'd win all 6 group games, and that went to shit very quickly. But I am going to be an optimist again because I don't learn my lesson. So I'm going to say 3-0 because Milan are injury battered, and they're going to be even more battered when we're finished with them. So I'm going to say 3-0.
I love it. Hopefully 3-0, hopefully 4-0. That would be ideal. I mean, hey, I'd take a 3-1 or a 4-1 if I'm honest.
I think this is the clean sheet day. I think this is it.
Maybe so. I'm not as confident as you are, but maybe it is.
I just feel like I don't know about anyone else.
I can't see.
I wouldn't
Giroud
call it
not
confidence.
scoring. So
Yeah,
I
I
can't see
agree.
Giroud not
I was gonna say I almost feel like it's certain that Giroud's scoring. I just got a feeling he is. I'm
maybe he
wrong.
scores only in the away game, maybe, but he's definitely getting a goal.
Yeah.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to round this one. I appreciate you all. If you're still here, thank you very, very much. Subscribe if you haven't already. I haven't actually told you that yet. So subscribe if you haven't already. On the road to 20,000 subscribers. Hit the like button on your way out. I massively appreciate it. Just one click of a button. It doesn't cost you any time or money. So please do that. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Up the Chelsea. Big shout out to my 2 wonderful guests. Please do check out Pice's website, chelseafc365.com. Link is down in the description as well as his Twitter. Shout out to Bertram for the quiz, for the slideshow of the quiz. We had a good time. But yeah, thank you, Aaron, as well. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Up the Chelsea, upwards and onwards, and we'll see you next time.